Hi, and welcome back to the channel. Barcelona went to the Benito Villamarín and gained 3 valuable points as they went 8 points clear at the top of Real Madrid. 50 points at the halfway stage, a feat that hasn't been reached since the 17-18 season. This is the lineup that Barcelona went as they beat Real Betis 2-1, with Gavi playing as a false winger, Robert Lewandowski returning to the starting lineup and Rafinha replacing Dembele. Real Betis was always going to press in order to put pressure on Barcelona and Sergio Busquets. So Ter Stegen formed the back three with our centre backs and our fullbacks advanced a little bit more. This was a tactic from Xavi because Betis were focused on closing down the middle, that's why they defended really narrow. So the positioning of our fullbacks was actually excellent because they would actually draw the wide wingers of Betis in order to come and defend them over on this side, which would open up space for Pedri and Gavi to exploit. Like here's our back three with Ter Stegen, Araujo and Christensen, and you can also see the positioning of Jules Koundé and Alejandro Balde are very wide in the build-up. This was actually forcing the wide wingers like Canales to come into a press, and actually that will open up the gap. Putting pressure on the fullbacks was actually a good situation for Real Betis, but this just opened up space for the likes of Pedri, Gavi and Frenkie de Jong to drop into to be able to create chaos. Therefore Manuel Pellegrini had his wingers very narrow, but whenever the ball went wide to the fullback, they would go out and press. Barcelona countered this by having Rafinha drop closer to the ball, and they would actually draw a fullback with him as well, and he would play a 1-2 with the likes of Frenkie once again, and even Sergio Busquets to drop into. Like here you can see the ball is played into Rafinha by Jules Koundé, and this is actually where Sergio Busquets is making a run in the space that was left. And he actually placed the 1-2 into Sergio Busquets where he could drive into the space that was vacated right over here. And this is the thing that Barcelona keeps on actually developing, their tactical fluidity. And Sergio Busquets would drive and pass the ball forward. Pellegrini had his front two to actually sit on Sergio Busquets because he was busy being tactically outclassed by Xavi. He would then have his front two make turns to go and press the centre backs where the other one would sit on Sergio Busquets. But Jules Koundé's positioning was actually a very big trouble for them, not only numerical advantage, but he was pulling out one of the pivots into these regions where a switch where Pedri would actually receive the ball in the space here, and then he would look to go forward to link up with Robert Lewandowski. This was very big trouble for Real Betis and they struggled to cope with. Over here you can see Jules Koundé's positioning was actually big trouble. He's actually drawing Canales into a press because he's anticipating a pass from Sergio Busquets to Jules Koundé. And right at back of him you can see there's Gavi or Pedri in this instance that would actually go out in the space there where he would receive the ball from the deep lying player in order to receive the ball in the half space. And you can actually see he's turning around, running, but luckily Canales makes up ground with him and actually stays with him in this case. Barcelona used to have this trend of pulling a team to one side where they would look to switch the ball straight over to the far side winger. But in this game particularly something different happened where Barcelona actually would want to get the ball into Busquets and then into Pedri in the half space. And this would actually still be very good for Barcelona because then he could link up with Rafinha who would pull somebody wide, and Rafinha would like to play the ball in behind or in the space. Pedri would actually look to link up with Robert Lewandowski. Here's a perfect example where Barcelona had the whole team of them on one side, 6 players to be exact. And now this is where the fun thing happens where Barcelona would actually look to play the ball over to one side. But in particular, Barcelona actually had it in this space right here, in the half space right in front of Jules Koundé. And the ball will be played into there, and then Barcelona's free agent would actually be up there to take the space. Like look at Pedri as well, Rafinha together, and he would actually receive the ball, and then Sergio Busquets would run into the space, or Frenkie de Jong or Gavi, because players were drawn out of position. So far this season we have seen 2 versions of FC Barcelona. Let me just break it down to you. When Gavi actually starts on the left as a false winger, Barcelona look to dominate games more. That is because when Barcelona actually build up, it's actually like a midfield diamond, and that is all to overload the midfield. And 9 times out of 10, Barcelona will actually dominate this game. We have the double pivot where Frenkie de Jong is also protecting Sergio Busquets, where Pedri and Gavi is just ahead of them in the free 8's position, where they would actually dominate the half space then, with their dribbling and intricate passes. and also to link with Robert Lewandowski, and that is why we have seen so many central movements from FC Barcelona, and also the back three which would keep Barcelona safe from counter-attacks. And the second version is actually really mind-boggling to me, because I don't know why Xavi still persists playing this way, because he's seeing that overloading the midfield is better. That is when he builds up with the normal back four, as we discussed in multiple videos. He actually has the free aids going up really high, which leaves Sergio Busquets alone and leave him in a lot of distance to cover. And you know that he needs somebody for protection because he cannot defend on his own. And we've known that people like to sit on Sergio Busquets, and therefore Barcelona would have to alter their tactics anyway. Pedri and Gavi actually dropping is one of the things that is done, but that just leaves space in between the lines for Barcelona. We know that this will not be sustainable, because what happens if one of Barcelona's four midfielders get injured? Then Barcelona would have to look for alternatives. And we know that Frank Kessie and Pablo Torre, Xavi is not relying on them. So what is the solution in this instance, and what can Barcelona do? So if Sergio Busquets plays actually alone and Frenkie de Jong is being rested, Barcelona would have to look to play the inverted winger to create this midfield four and still have some control in midfield. Or if Balde plays wide, we have to have a double pivot Frenkie de Jong and Sergio Busquets together. Or even Jules Koundé, then we can actually have a 5-man midfield together in midfield. And there's so many ways that we can actually do this, but Xavi actually wants to stick to his plan. And we have seen that he's proven that he's tactical fluid and he can actually alter the game and actually influence the game. This was a really hard-fought victory for Barcelona, as they now win 8 points clear of Real Madrid, who actually plays tonight. So if Real Madrid lose, this will be a big step for Xavi towards the title. And Real Madrid, like I said in the game when we drew against Osasuna, Real Madrid will drop points again. And I can tell you in this video right now, if it's not against Valencia, Real Madrid will drop points yet again. Thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.